Sometimes there is no better way to get a handle on how America is viewed than to get as far away from here as possible. Exactly what our next guest did. And in the process, becoming the envy of every person who ever wondered if it would be possible to visit every country on Earth. He is a former editor at Playboy magazine and 3 national outdoor magazines, a lawyer, a surfer, author of the new book, Around the World in 50 Years, My Adventure to Every Country on Earth. It's a pleasure to welcome Albert Podell into the show. Albert, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I know that you've been around the world, and I know that you're an author and an editor, and you won't give me the standard pat because it was their answer, so that's why I'm going to ask, why?
Oh, it's a long, long story. I just love to travel, and I think maybe when I was a kid, I started collecting stamps at age 6, and I wanted one from every country, and it kind of ended up being natural to want to go to every country.
How did you feel that you were respected and looked at around the world? Because I mentioned coming in, people think very differently about Americans, and we're in a very tough time now for Americans around the world. How did they react to you?
Well, it depended on when. I would say it's gotten worse over the years. In other words, when I started 50 years ago, Americans were highly regarded because we were prosperous, we were rich, and we were free. And now we're often criticized because we're prosperous, we're rich, and we're free. Things have gone downhill over the last 50 years for sure regarding our reputation.
Did you have any trouble? Well, I imagine that you must have had some trouble because there's some countries you probably couldn't get a visa to get into, could you? Or at least had difficulty.
Well, it took a while. Angola was the toughest, and that took about 5 years. Saudi Arabia is not giving any tourist visas. I had to go in there as part of an archaeological team. Somalia, I could get in, but only if I hired a security guard and 6 guys with automatic rifles and an armored car. Cost me $750 a day before they would let me in because they didn't want me to get kidnapped or killed.
Always a nice way to travel, to have armed bodyguards. I do understand, though, that when you were in Hong Kong, you had to eat a live monkey.
I did. I was the guest of some people. I could not cause them to lose face. I didn't know what was happening. Big circular table. Took this at the end of the meal. They took this monkey. The waiter brought it out, put its head up through the hole in the middle of the table, whipped out a meat cleaver, hit it right across the skull, flipped the skull back, and they gave us each this little silver demitasse spoon, and they all said, just dig in. And I was a little reluctant. And they said, don't worry, the monkey doesn't feel anything because the brain has no sensitivity. So, you know, if I didn't do it, my host would have tremendously lost face. So I did it.
I remember seeing I think that was in, what, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I think, that might have showed up. I think that was almost an exact part of it. Do you have the skull there? Somebody told me that you brought it with you.
No, actually, this little guy here, I was served for lunch by a family I stayed with in the Amazon. You can see right here the little hole in his head. That's where the arrow went in. They used a bamboo arrow. They threw him into a stew and they cooked him up. Now that was in 1975. We did not know then about episodic diseases. We didn't know that if you eat monkeys, you can get some really bad bugs. And they're called bushmeat in most of the undeveloped world. Monkeys and porcupines and armadillos, and they're a major source of protein. This is a different kind of monkey skull. This one is from the fetish market in Lomé, the capital of Togo, and that is the biggest fetish market in all of Africa. These are authentic. These are voodoo dolls. I don't know if your camera can pick up.
No. We can see them just fine. Yeah, as long as one of them doesn't have red hair and you're not putting one of the pin in there for me, it's okay. We're good.
No, when I was having trouble finding a publisher in the beginning, I was tempted to use them, but I didn't. And this guy here is, everybody will recognize this. This is a willy warmer from the Matabele tribe in South Africa. This is
I just want to point this out, though, Albert. In all the years that I've been doing television, it's the first time anybody has ever had a willy warmer as a prop on an interview. You have actually set the bar, my friend. That's the first.
All right. Well, I know you
I'm
have
not-
a family show.
okay.
So I was trying to think of.
No, really, you did a good job.
Trying to think of
Look, I've
some-
only got a few seconds left. I'm sorry, we're out of time because of everything. But just briefly, I want to point out to everybody again, it's called Around the World in 50 Years, My Adventure to Every Country on Earth. Albert Podell is a gentleman who did it. And if you follow where he went, you can come up with some artifacts just like that, all your own. And that would be frightening indeed. Albert, it's been a pleasure, my friend. I hope we get a chance to talk again. Great luck with the book.
Same here. Thank you very much. You're a great interviewer.
All right, thank you very much. Just have fun. Why not? You went around the world and got into every country. Stick around. We'll keep taking you every place on Midpoint.